So let's get the final match started. It's going to be a TVT again, a rematch of match number 2. Firebathero, our Terran with Samson Khan, and Hwasin, our other Terran with STX Sol. So the map will be Loki 2. Fighting. So our Terran player in the white at about 2 o'clock, Hwasin, and our orange Terran player at about 8 o'clock, Firebathero. So I'm personally really excited to see what these players will decide to do in this matchup. We did see that the Katrina game was quite interesting with the way there was a lot of back and forth. And of course, Firebathero's scout of the 2 port did make quite a bit of a difference in the game from my perspective. On that point, what this means is these players are quite evenly matched. And considering that there is a back expansion here, where they can grab a faster gas or try and do something crazy like a faster third, or a host of different things. I would love to see what each player will bring to the table, what kind of strategy they'll decide to go with. For now, we don't see anything out of the ordinary, basically no proxy racks or anything like that, just the normal depot timings. So what's going to happen next is probably telling. We'll see if any of them will decide to go for a CC first, or if they'll get. But we do see an SCV moving out, so this could be a proxy racks on Firebathero's side. So I wonder if he's going to try and put it in the mineral location. But we do see that Hwasin hasn't pulled an SCV yet for the racks. So maybe he's going for a CC first. So the racks of Firebathero again near just a little further away from the mineral only base. And we see the gas, so it's more likely going to be a follow-up with a factory, like a vulture follow-up. The SCV is going down. Looks like it's going to be a CC first from Hwasin. So this could actually do a lot of damage, especially with some good control. So the question is going to be, more than likely the Hwasin will get his racks probably right away. Because keep in mind, this map is basically a map where there's only 2 spawns. So it's not like something like Katrina where you have to scout, a couple different positions. So Firebathero, if he decides to scout, he should find him ASAP. Now the other thing that could happen is that once he makes a couple of Marines, maybe, I don't know what the usual number is, but let's say 2 Marines or so, he can decide to use the racks to scout afterwards, so he'll have complete intel of what Hwasin has. He does see that the gas and the racks are not done yet, so that should give him quite a bit of intel, while the factory is halfway done for Firebathero, and he doesn't even have any SCVs on the gas anymore. So it looks like he's probably going to go for his own CC after the vulture's out. And the first one is going to be coming up the ramp, so Hwasin will see this. His racks is almost done, so I don't think this is a bad situation for him just yet, but it depends on just how well he micros this. And we do see continuous marine. Oh, and the bunker is going down. Okay, so that's not a bad idea on Hwasin's part. That SCV is going to get close to go down. He does get it down, and that's another SCV down. So this is already doing pretty great amount of damage. And keep in mind, this was a standard racks timing from Firebathero, basically. So I much prefer his position, although that CC first has to get denied, and he needs. Oh, and that was a fantastic snipe on the Marine. So that's 2 SCVs, a single Marine, and he hasn't lost any units yet, and the Vulture is coming in as well. So the CC is first, so economically, Hwasin does have the advantage 100%. Tech-wise, Firebath in the lead. Picking off the 2 SCVs, the Marine there, those were all great moves, and he also forced the bunker on top. And of course, because of the way things are going, the factory just finished right now for Hwasin, basically. What I would love to see personally is some kind of a because keeping in mind that Hwasin is going to be lagging behind in terms of tech-wise, I would love to see like faster ports for a Firebathero or something else to keep up the aggression. But again, we'll see what they have planned. So see the port just hidden at the top for Hwasin. I do see something else in Firebathero's main. Might be another factory addition, like a factory there. And it's also great that the Marines have survived and are moving back. And the first tank is out for Firebathero, which is great. Now you can see also the factory or the racks has been floated for Firebathero into Hwasin's main. So Firebathero should have a great idea of what's going on here. Now he won't scout the port, but he should also realize that as much damage as he did, Hwasin should still have some money. Hwasin should know that he has some money left over, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he got the SCV there as well at the depot. So that's a nice win too. So it looks like the CC4 Firebathero is finished as well. His gas, we saw it earlier, has been taken, so he's slowly going to start matching up back up to Hwasin's position. So second machine shop going up, and we see the armory and the academy as well. Now, did we see an armory yet for Hwasin? I don't believe we saw one just yet. It's interesting that he destroyed his bunker. He could have just left it for now, but it looks like he's going to take a third CC. And this is essentially what I was talking about, the ability of to take a third, essentially a faster third. This is scouted by Firebathero, so we'll see what he decides to do. He does have the advantage in terms of having an additional factory, but you have siege tanks out. There's no way for him to easily deny that without suffering major losses. So I doubt he's going to do this. Basically, the Resh will come and scout the base. What I would love to see, I do see the Marines have been stationed there, so this might have been as a result of protecting them against any early vultures or any vultures from Hwasin, but the Resh just scout everything, gets a good idea of what's going on. It's gonna again just do a bit of damage here and there. Keep in mind the armory is out. So I mean, at this point in time, feels like the best thing that Firebathero can do is just honestly take his own expansion. He doesn't have an army that contests this, and it looks like he actually is taking expansion outside his base. More than likely, probably so that the Rish doesn't deny, but the Rish will actually... Oh, it's gonna... Oh, wow, that's... Okay. So that was fantastically... That was... Oh, look, he's gonna come back and scout it, and he's going to see it. But the Grice is there, so this SCV will be safe. But yeah. Okay, so I like this idea. The dropship. We didn't see any defense in the back. If a Firebathero just has a couple units in the front, he will force Hwasin to keep units at the front, and then he can drop in the back, and he'll be completely out of position. Now he does see the tanks moving back with the Wraith, basically. So that might give him some intel. We'll see. One thing is this dropship has to go unscouted because Firebathero does not want to lose it. And he gets the rest on top as well, so that's fantastically done. There is an army moving out for Hwasin, so he is going to deny that third base. But it looks like Hwasin's own base will be denied in base expansion with the Goliath Marine drop. So essentially both of them are going to deny a base for themselves. Keep in mind that oh, it looks like he actually moves back, so I wonder if this was meant to be some kind of a feint, but we do see a tank there, so it's more than likely that he decided it wasn't worth it. So it looks like he actually might be planning to bust up or try and kill those 4 tanks. That would give him a nice advantage. Just drop on top and then go push with the frontal, but we do see there are double dropships from Hwasin already, so Hwasin does have that advantage. But that is a very sparse looking base from Hwasin's part as well. Still, I do like Hwasin's position more at this point. So 5 factors for Hwasin. I believe we're only at what, 3 or 4 potentially for Firebathero. Oh, so it does look like he did find a bit of spot, and this is important fire targeting here. So he will get the 1 tank, but again, Hwasin does have quite a bit of tanks behind, but that is a huge amount of tanks also for Firebathero. And he's doing a fantastic job targeting with these tanks. So he should unsiege at least to try and save. Yeah, doesn't look like he will because he doesn't want to. So this was a nice drop. He's gonna get those 3 tanks. And you can tell Firebathero doesn't want to risk unsieging because he knows that Hwasin will just run in and snipe those tanks, so he'd rather they die that way. The R2 drops is happening out. Firebathero did re-establish his 3rd, and he is building a 4th basically around the same time as Hwasin. Hwasin is slightly ahead from the looks of it. So this could be a really big drop. If he actually managed to land this, and I don't think there's any turrets yet, if he lands this, and he will land it, he's going to deny this base. And with his 3rd base being established, and this is also a fantastic position to take as well. A lot of workers are going to die, and we do see the drops from Hwasin, so this drop will be denied, but there was a lot of workers killed, there was a lot of mining delayed, and this is slowly starting to tip the needle into Firebathero's position. I do see quite a blob of units, so it looks like Firebathero might want to continue doing this this drop sequence. What I would personally love for him to do is actually break up the tanks just outside his position at the top. It looks like he's gonna ignore because he feels like he still has a path to his opponent's base with the dropships. But having having just a higher chance to explore, being able to play to the map's advantage would work better as well. But at this point, it doesn't look like he wants to waste any part of his army. And you can see with dropships, you can completely surpass tank lines. But doesn't look like he's going to do it just yet. So Firebathero here is up to 4 bases now compared to the 3 of Hwasin, almost to be 4. Oh, but we do see a drop at the bottom. So it looks like that base was actually denied, which is why all the SCVs are out of position. Oh, and this is fantastically done as well. So the army has been moved out of position. The terrace are not done just yet. And he's going to be sieging. Oh, this is pretty brutal, because what's going to happen is that if Firebathero tries to engage this from inside his base, he's going to be shelled from the tanks on fundamentals only. There is quite a bit of tanks, but he is going to be cleaning this up. He's doing a good job with targeting the tanks first. So it looks like his in base is safe. But the idea, just to go back on that, is that because the tanks are in the... Oh, and the SCV will catch at least a single one, so it's pretty boss. That Marion, pretty boss. So let's look at the situation. So it looks like it's 3 base to 3 base. Looks like Firebathero did manage to re-establish his... Oh, and this is a nice idea, basically. He should be able to get most of these tanks. Wonderfully done, wonderfully done. But that 4th base is going to be denied. That SC will be lifted, and a lot of death SCPs are going down too. The question is if Hwasin knows about Firebathero's bottom right base. I don't believe he does, but there might be some Goliath moving down to intercept any of the SCVs that ran away. The 4th will be denied for Hwasin, but there is quite a bit of units here, so not for long. He will at least get some of the SCV kills before running off with his dropships, and you need to keep the dropships alive. If you lose all your dropships, you will fall behind. You need them to give you a lot of the mobility, basically. So 4 bases to 4 bases. At this point in time, Firebathero's position seems much nicer, but I do prefer the fact that Hwasin does have more mobility with the dropships. He's been preserving most of these dropships aside from the one that died to that Marine. Looks like upgrade-wise, we haven't actually... I believe Firebathero might be on 1-0 already, and Hwasin should be on similar, but it looks like he actually is gearing for another drop. Oh, but this looks like it gets scoured as well. So Firebathero is ready, he has his dropships ready as well. Wow, this is getting really crazy. Oh, he's gonna drop try and attack, but there is a lot of Goliath, but this is not too bad of a drop. But wow, okay. So it looks like he's actually going to break him because that's about 7 tanks worth of stuff, all with 1-0. Oh, nicely done. That looks like that Wraith came in handy as well. So there is one thing I like. I love having the Marine there by Firebathero, because that Marine is essentially almost acting as a scout of the dropships. And considering the situation now, how late we've gotten into the game, that Marine is almost as good as useless unless you use him for like a mine drag. So Firebathero has cleared his units, but this does leave him open. So his previous fourth is going to be picked off. And he looks like will be losing his other fourth right now, because that's going to be extremely isolated. But it doesn't... Oh, okay, so he sees it. He sees it. No? So actually it doesn't look like Hwasin knows about that bottom right base, because he's busy just with the CC. But I do see some units moving down. So it looks like the Firebathero's base will be denied in the bottom right, but Hwasin's base has been denied in the top middle as well. So it's back to 3 base versus 3 base. So these players are doing a fantastic job also. There's a lot of multitasking going on here. So to always be on top of everything going on, try and save all these bases while managing everything is pretty difficult, especially with the fact that you have to keep tabs on where your opponent is going. So this base will actually survive. Those SCVs are quite beefy. While this top base is actually being denied, those tanks 2-0, so you can see Firebathero actually has the upgrade advantage. That means that his tanks can kill the other tanks in one less hit. But that CC is about to die, so Firebathero has to repair that. He has to repair it ASAP. And you can see those tanks are doing a great job of denying the mining, and as the game goes on, Firebathero will slowly start to accumulate more and more resources, and that will play into his favor, because eventually Hwasin will not be able to use his factories or all his factories, and because of the position he is in, the dominant position, looks like Firebathero is taking more bases. But this is a nice drop, and if this goes around the basin, we can see Firebathero is ready there. Then yeah. One other thing to mention, as you guys can see, there is a lot of scans going on. So those scans are fantastic because they are giving all the players a lot of intel about what's going on, and you can see the Marine does scout the dropships going up. So this again tips Firebathero as to where Hwasin's going and what he's doing. But honestly, he's done a fantastic job with just denying it for so long and just establishing the whole bottom right side of the base. So I would actually prefer the Wraith to deny the SCV from building it, but it doesn't look like Firebathero is paying attention there. Oh, and that's a fantastic job right on top. He's going with the frontal burst as well. So he's going to clean up everything, and he's going to get the CC as well. So this is going to put Hwasin in a bad position. So he's going to counter, and he will be getting that CC basically, because you can see Firebathero is extremely out of position with this drop. And looks like Hwasin is going to, so Hwasin's going to get at least one of the bases, but it looks like Firebathero is going to attack the expansion as well. But this, so he will have enough, looks like, and that, okay, there is a huge army coming from the side as well, so a lot of cities are going to go down, but keep in mind Hwasin will have the high ground there, and he is coming back with quite a bit of units. No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like his army is still stuck all the way at the bottom, denying those 2 bases, but honestly, he has to come back. You don't want your base seized up. Okay, it looks like he's good. He's moved his army back. This does leave his mineral only vulnerable, or his other base there. And my apologies, looks like there was the gas on it. Firebathero is essentially building a CC right next to Hwasin's CC. So those guys are doing quite a bit of work. So Firebathero will lose the base there. And it looks like this base, so this situation is slowly getting flipped upside down, and that is a nice drop on top of the tanks there. So if he gets those C's up ASAP, this will be extremely hard to break, and that's a huge amount of tanks from the bottom as well. So Hwasin is actually putting himself back into the game, and looks like I believe his upgrades have actually went to that. So he's actually 2-0 now. So that explains a bit of how things are going more balanced in these fights. aside from the spectacular positioning the Hwasin's have been having. So both players are back to their 3 original bases, although keep in mind they do have that extra base there, so it's almost even at this point. I still do like Firebath positions hero a bit more, but army-wise I believe Hwasin is the one who has the advantage right now. In terms of upgrades, pretty equal. And looks like Hwasin's going for an attack on that base, and that was extremely important basically. This is gonna... So he should be able to defend this. Or... I thought he had somebody who's coming up. No, it... Wow, okay. So Hwasin's armor will survive. So this is actually looking worse now for Firebathero. Can't afford to lose that base. Because his main is mined out, his expansion will be mining out soon. And we're leaving him with only the 1 base, the back expansion. In the meantime, Hwasin will have at least the 1 base, and then his it's just, yeah. So Hwasin will be essentially a base up by the time all things are done. Although Hwasin didn't mine out his base, but he is also taking the bottom as well. Now, army-wise, doesn't look like Firebath here has much. He does have quite a bit of units, but he also doesn't want to be dropped into his main, because if his factors are seized, this game is as good as over. Which leaves the question, what can he do to get back into the game? So let's take a look at the supply. So it's about 123 supply. Now, the good thing is he does have the top bases, so at least that will give him some income. It doesn't look like Hwasin is actually paying attention. He's too focused on trying to seize the factories and potentially go for the drop. And you can see the drops are coming in, but there is some tanks there. So Hwasin is slightly up in the supply count, but he is dropping into the expansion where the factories are. And looks like that was not a bad drop by Firebath. He's going to get a lot of the tanks, so it is a fantastic win for him. And keep in mind, his 2 top bases are mining even if they have little units on them, which leaves me the question is if Hwasin is going to be checking those, or if he's going to be focusing all his attention on Firebathero's main, because he feels like he's got him in his clutches. That's 2 SCVs working, that's another 2. Not the greatest number, but at least he still has the gas at the bottom. And he still at least has the 1 base mining, and you can kind of say it's about half a base, a little less than that. So it looks like Hwasin is going ready for another drop. This base is getting pretty sparse, but keep in mind he does have the bottom. So that's about 2.5 bases for Hwasin, about less than 2 bases for Firebathero. So economic wise, it looks like that base is discovered, and the other base is now in trouble as well, because Firebathero can't risk moving units to the top left to defend it. So this is a nice break by Firebath here, but he is fighting uphill against a lot of tanks, and that base, and basically this is a bad idea. You don't want to be losing your army. So this game is going further and further out of Firebathero's control, and Hwasin will deny that other base as well. He has enough use to do it. And with this base being denied, Firebathero again is only down to the in base at this point, because his expansion is mined out, or almost mined out if I'm not mistaken. So the army of Hwasin will only grow larger and larger, while Firebathero just can't remake his army. It looks like he will try to bust to grab that base down and deny the bottom right corner. And he should be successful. He does have more than enough tanks here. But I do see a huge amount of tanks moving down. So that's enough dropships. So he will definitely hold this. He'll definitely hold this small container if he decides he wants to do it. But it looks like Hwasin does not want to. So okay. So it looks like what he's planning to do is he's gonna ignore that bait, and it looks like he's gonna go for a drop. Firebathero is aware of this. He is moving back to try and intercept this, but there is a huge amount of tanks. And if he does manage another drop into Firebathero's base, considering how many units he has, Firebat here will more than likely lose all his factories or lose a lot of his production. And once that's done, especially with the economy being what it is, this game will be forfeit for him. He is doing a great job. He is doing that bottom base. That is one good thing that he can do. But those tanks adjacent to his in base are problematic. And we see this ability. So if I actually had those tanks sieged up, basically. So he gets the first cheese. He will do a great job with the target. It's fantastic, but we're going to lose at least another tank. And Firebat here or Hwasin will get this. Wow, that is quite a bit of tanks. Wow, this game's been crazy so far. Oh, but this base is extremely exposed. Those SCVs are going down. He's going to have to pull those back. And this is definitely not what Firebathero wanted to do with that, with what he was planning to do. So I do see a huge amount of army movement. It looks like Hwasin is actually pushing it, and he can definitely break this. He has more than enough. But he needs to at least drop on top to divert some of the fire because there is a huge stroke there, basically. But he is still doing, he is not trading the most efficiently, but that's still a lot of damage. And this might be the GG, basically, because I don't see any other units from Firebat here. He has a single tank and a Goliath. It doesn't look like Hwasin wants to pursue this. What would be great now is a drop into the main, because at this point in time, he has the drop ships, he's done all the bases. Firebathero's army is extremely small. He can just go for the killer blow and stop the production facilities, basically. And the CC is down also for Firebat here at the bottom at 6 o'clock. So he's been reduced to just his in-base mining. So 100% in Hwasin's favor economically, 100% Hwasin's favor army-wise. And map control, 100% Hwasin's favor as well. So in just a bit, Firebat here will be mined out. So we'll see if he's able to pull anything out, but this is definitely looking more and more difficult by the minute. Because Hwasin's lead would just keep expanding further and further. And you can see with the way Hwasin is maneuvering, he's basically going back and forth. The idea is that this gives him a faster chance to respond. What I would love from Hwasin to do is just put a unit maybe towards the top left and went about 6 o'clock where that base was, just outside the expansion of Firebat here on the right side. This would give him a lot of information about the dropship movements because he's already controlling the center with his dropship army movements, basically. So as long as he gets an idea of where the units are moving, he can easily intercept them in time. That's probably the one thing that he needs to do better. You can see how the choke in the middle of this map does affect the army movement, which is why the dropships are crucial. But again, Firebat here is in a bad position. And looks like this dropship might get into... Okay, so it's not a bad idea to get some use on the high ground, but honestly, 5 tanks is not going to stop 20. But those are some fantastic target firing, but you can see that the tanks are just melting. And this is the final contain, and we get the GG. So, fantastic TVT. Much like the Katrina game, they did go back and forth. It did look like Firebat here did have a chance early on in the game, but Hwasin did pull ahead economically wise, and then he just started taking some better decisions here and there, and it just snowballed into his favor. So it looks like Hwasin and Jangbi and Hwasin will be advancing to the Round 16.